Thank you for joining our JCU webinar series. My name is Cameron Murphy. I'm one of the Future Student Advisors here at JCU, and tonight I'll be your MC. I acknowledge the Australian Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples as the first inhabitants of this country and pay my respects to the traditional owners and elders, past and present, of the land on which we stand today. In the spirit of reconciliation, I also acknowledge the valuable contribution that Australian Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people continue to make to James Cook University and the broader community. Before we get started, I'd just like to run through some housekeeping. If you do have any questions during this presentation, please type them in the Q&A box in your Zoom control panel, and I will address these with the JCU presenters as they arise. Tonight, we have two of our JCU Now academics, Dr. Jamie Fellows and Dr. Denise Turner, who will be sharing their top tips to help you succeed and successfully complete your subjects. And also, in addition to this, we have our JCU Now coordinator, Susan Heatherall, to tell us all about JCU Now and in a broad sense. So tonight, I'd like to get things started by introducing Susan Heatherall.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you very much for coming tonight. It's great that we have so many people interested in this wonderful program. I would like to begin with just an overview of what JCU Now is. So it's basically an opportunity for high achieving Year 11 and 12 students to complete first year university subjects while still in school. So you can do this either online, or you can do this on campus, where you would actually come to either the Townsville or the Cairns campus and complete your studies there. So you'll attend lectures and tutorials, etc. If you are interested, students that are eligible need to be an Australian citizen, New Zealand citizen, or an Australian permanent resident, and we may ask you for evidence of that, especially Australian permanent residents. You need to be in either year 11 or 12 and attending a state or non-state secondary school. In order to show you are high achieving, you need to have a B grade average or better, and we ask you to submit a report card to support that. And we like it to be the most current. So if you are looking at applying for semester 1, then we would really, 2023, then we would really like your report card from semester 2, 2022. You also need to meet any prerequisites applicable. So usually the only one that we have is that you've completed Year 10 English successfully. And you have support from both your school and your parent or guardian. There are limits to how many subjects you can do. So you can only enroll in one subject at a time. You can't be doing 2 subjects in semester 1, for example. You need to do one in semester 1 and then your second in semester 2 or trimester 2. You can complete a maximum of 4 subjects over 4 teaching periods. And there is a limited number of places available in each subject. Generally, it's 10 in each location, so 10 in Townsville, 10 in Cairns, and 10 online, and that's if all 3 are actually available for that subject. So for the first subject, all costs and fees are waived, so there's no cost to the student other than those costs that occur within the subject. So things like textbooks, or if you've got to pay for excursions, or if you need certain clothing. So if you're doing, say, a science subject and you need to get a lab coat, you have to incur those costs. But the costs of the subject and the student services and amenities fees are waived for that first subject. Any subjects you take after that, you will be asked to pay a cost of $375 for the subject, which is a massively reduced amount, seeing as most subjects are $2,000 plus if you do them as a uni student after school. And you also will need to pay a student services and amenities fee. Now, this fee changes from year to year. As at this time in 2023, the fee is set at $48.90. If you need to withdraw, you will not incur any fees if done so before the census date. So the census date is basically the finalisation of the subject. So once census date has passed, you are counted as being part of that subject. And if you withdraw afterwards, you may incur fees that you've paid already. You won't get them refunded. If you withdraw before that census date, then you won't cop any penalties at all. Of course, if it's your first subject, there weren't any fees to start with, so it won't matter either way. How to apply. So if you meet all of those credentials, you can apply by downloading an application form and filling it out the required information. So our application form is on the landing page for JCU Now. So you will receive an email after this and it will have a link to the JCU Now page, and on there you will see the application form. As part of that application, as I said, you will need parents at school to show that they support your decision to do the program, and they will need to sign that application. And also, as I said, you'll need to also provide a report card to show that you meet that B grade average criteria. School's responsibility. So since you are a school student, we do have to have the school involved in this. So what we ask you to do is that the school provide a teacher or a head of department to act as the JCU Now coordinator. Generally, that is the person who has signed your form when you've put in your application. This coordinator then is the person that we liaise with when we need to basically report back how you are going. So I will report back to your coordinator. If I then need to also, they have questions about things, I can contact the lecturer, etc. But basically that coordinator is my person at the school who I contact if I have any questions or concerns. They also receive regular updates on any students in the program from me. So as a JCU Now coordinator, I basically act between the school and the university and keep everyone informed of everything that's going on. Benefits. So of course, every subject that you do and you complete successfully, you will receive 2 QCE points. And you may also receive early entry if the subject successfully completed is a core subject of the course they wish to study. So say, for example, you do a marine science subject, you may not then be able to get early entry into, say, a law degree. It needs to line up. So students who are in the program have access to everything that a normal JCU student has access to. So all of our IT services, Learn JCU, support services, the library, everything that a normal JCU student can use to support them to get through the course, you have access to all of that. And then you also have access to me. So I'm basically that extra bit of support. So if you're not sure what's happening, if you're concerned about something, if say an exam is clashing with an assessment piece at the university, I'm your go-to person. So I can help deal with those things and try and make the process for you as easy as possible. Also orientation. So once you're accepted into the program, we will give you access to an orientation booklet. So that booklet covers all the information you need, including how to get your ID card, all the services that are available to you, maps, everything basically. And we also, for students who are looking at doing an on-campus subject, so not online, but actually coming into the campus, we do offer a free campus tour. So that's usually the Thursday in orientation week, but those details are included in the emails you receive once you've been accepted into the program. And there's also a registration form to show that you are coming so that we know who's attending those campus tours. So how it all works. So once you're accepted, my job then is to make sure you're supported and you're actually coping with the subject. So I'll track your progress, report back to the school coordinator. You may also receive emails from me from time to time, just checking in and seeing how you're going, if there's anything that you need. When I report back to the school, I include in there how you're interacting with the subject through Learn JCU, report back any assessment results and any due dates or exam dates that I feel the school needs to know about, so they can talk to you and organise time away from the school if you need to. If there are any concerns with your progress, your school is going to be the first point of call for me. I'm going to contact them, and then they can follow up with you about what's going on, and we can work together to either figure things out and make sure you're supported, or maybe make the decision that it's maybe a little bit too much and you might need to withdraw. Exams. I did include this because I had gotten a few questions about this, especially with students who are looking at studying online. So exam timetables are released about 5 weeks before the exams take place. I will email you and include your school coordinator to just remind you of the date and where you have to go, etc. Students that study online, though, you may need to attend campus for the exam. So if you are in Townsville or you are in Cairns, you may have to come onto campus and attend your exams. If, however, you're an online student and you're not near Townsville or Cairns, so if you are outside a 100-kilometre radius of a campus, you will then be given a place within your town or near your school or near where you live where you can do your exam. So you don't have to travel all the way to Townsville or Cairns to do your exam. You'll actually do it at a set place, which we will inform you about closer to the date. And that's it for me.
Perfect. Thanks, Susan. Certainly lots of information there, but certainly an amazing program or an opportunity for students, I guess, to try before you buy, sort of see what it's like and test the waters of what university is like. And I guess offsetting any of those additional expenses is something that's always beneficial to students. So I guess to hear from one of our academics who teaches one of the JCU Now subjects or teaches into the JCU Now program, we're first going to hear from Dr. Jamie Fellows, who's the head of law at the College of Business Law and Governance here at JCU. Now, hang five, there's a bit to get through. So Jamie is also the director of the JCU Tax Clinic, the coordinator of the Work Integrated Learning Program for the law, and the honours program for JCU Law. Jamie is also closely involved with the legal profession in North and Far North Queensland and regularly facilitates educational and career-oriented events for students. In 2022, Jamie was invited to join the Mabo Decision 30th Anniversary Committee, where he played host to several hundred students across Cairns and Townsville for the 2022 Legal Studies Conference. Now, to talk about the law subjects in the JCU Now program, I'd like to introduce Jamie. Just a few tech issues there. Are you able to come off mute, Jamie? So we just got Jamie on mute, having a few, I can see a shaking head. So what we might do,
okay, we're good. I think we're good. Okay, thanks for that. Some mute issues there. So hi everyone, my name's Jamie Fellows, as Cameron said, and I'm the head of law at James Cook University based in Townsville. So I'd just like to talk to you a little bit about the JCU Now program, and also how that actually feeds into the law program if you were to actually come and do your law studies at James Cook University, either in Cairns or Townsville, or if you're outside and you want to study externally, that's absolutely fine too. So just in terms of the JCU Now, the actual subjects, so what would you be doing if you were to do some of our subjects? So there's a choice of 4 subjects that we offer. The first one is legal institutions and processes, human rights law, public international law, or business law. And you can choose either of those or more, as Susan talked about. All of these subjects are offered face-to-face in Cairns and Townsville, and also online. Okay. So they're the introductory subjects, and those subjects are what the first-year law students would do. So they're exactly the same subjects as what our first-year law students would do, and they're really just an introduction into into the legal profession and into the idea of law and how law operates. So, how is each subject studied? So each subject comprises 2 hours of weekly workshops. They're predominantly lecture style workshops, although they are quite interactive. So you'll have your 2 hours of the workshops plus 1 hour of weekly tutorials. If you were an external student and you were only studying externally, say you were living in wherever outside of Cairns or Townsville, or you could still be in Cairns or Townsville but choose to study externally, that's fine too. You would only have 1 hour of an online tutorial each week. Okay, you just join that tutorial online. In terms of the assessment, it does vary with each subject, but generally we're looking at no more than 3 assessment pieces per subject. Okay, and so generally one of those subjects might consist of a small quiz, online quiz. Firstly, then you might do a report of 500 words, and then you might do an exam of a 2-hour exam. So, how difficult is the course to complete? To answer that question, I think it's important to know that we want our students to do well, and we aim for student success. We don't want to fail students. So what we do is we put a lot of things in place so that students will actually get through without too many problems. So providing you all are able to access your materials online and participate in class, whether it's face-to-face class or online, you shouldn't have any problems completing these subjects that we've actually put up in the JCU Now platform. So each week you'll be guided through clear weekly lecture material, and all the materials are available online, and we give it to you up front. Some students will want to work a little bit faster than others. Some will want to work week to week. Some will want several weeks material up front, and sort of work quite quickly, and that's absolutely fine. One of the advantages that we have at JCU with the small classes, and you have access, really easy access to the teaching staff and the lectures. Unlike some of the other larger universities where there could be several thousand students in one class, our biggest class would, you're sort of looking between 50 to 100 students, all between Cairns and Townsville and external. So that is certainly one advantage that we have at JCU, is the access to teaching staff. Okay, what can successful completion of the JCU Now lead to? So if you were to complete 1 or more subjects, then in the law program, then what that would mean is they would contribute to your degree. And we have several degree programs here at JCU. So the basic law degree, I suppose, is 3 years. So we call that the Bachelor of Laws, or the LLB, and that's 3 years full-time or part-time equivalent. So that's the basic law degree. If you complete that degree, then eventually you're able to be admitted as a legal practitioner in Queensland. That's really good, but there's a lot of people choose to do a little bit more than just the basic law degree, and they might go and do a Bachelor of Laws with honours. And that's the honours program. You're admitted into honours if you actually get a GPA of 5, which is about a credit distinction average over the course of the 3 years. And then you do the extra year is a thesis, and it's writing a thesis of about 10 to 15,000 words. Might sound a little bit daunting now, but once you've finished 3 years of a law degree, you'll be raring to go to write that sort of length of thesis. So it shouldn't be too much of a problem. The other degrees that we have, the other options that we have, are what we call the joint degrees. The joint degrees, I really couldn't recommend these more. They give you the ability to look at other areas outside of law, but you come out with virtually 2 degrees, and you do that over 5 years. The joint degrees that we have are arts law, business law, and science law. So if you're undecided, like you're doing some science at school and you really like science, but you also want to, you know, get a professional qualification like law. A really good way to combine that is to do science law. So you're able to do your science subjects, but you're able to do, you know, you tag law, you do law at the same time, and then it enables you. I think it broadens your prospects, makes you more employable, if you like. Likewise with business, and also if you're interested in a language, for example, you might, or history, or anthropology, or sociology, or psychology, you might do an arts law degree. All right. So they're really good combinations, and you want to maximise your employability. So I would thoroughly recommend having a look at the joint degrees if you're doing that. Okay, what is a law degree like at JCU? I'd have to say one of the biggest advantages of doing a law degree is the flexibility that we offer here now at JCU. When I studied my law degree many years ago, you had to actually be either in Cairns or Townsville. You had to live there, and you had to. And if you didn't turn up to the lecture, there was no such thing as, you know, obtaining your materials online. You missed out. So the flexibility, you know, you might have things you can't attend lectures 1 week or for several weeks, then you're still able to get all the material online. So every lecture we do is recorded, and that's placed online, so you can even go back and listen to the recording. So and then the other advantage we have, of course, is the work integrated learning, or you might know it as sort of work experience, where after about a year or so, you then go out and you have the ability to go and work in a law firm or in a government department and learn and see how law is applied in the so-called real world. One of the really good things we have in North Queensland and far North Queensland are the extensive alumni networks. That means the graduate opportunity. So a lot of the practitioners, once they finish JCU, they will then go into the legal profession and government departments or the Defence Forces, and then some of them will come back to North Queensland, and so, you know, they will always choose a JCU grad. I mean, they're very favourable to JCU graduates. So that's, you know, you've got a big pool of employers out there. In terms of the support that you'll receive while you're studying, there's a lot of support out there. We have first year coordinators, student support officers, and they will check in on you from time to time, as well as other student mentors. And there's a whole bunch of scholarships available too. So if you are interested in doing law, once if you do JCU now and then you want to go and do law, go and check out the scholarships, because there's several really quite generous scholarships out there of several $1,000s. Just a bit of an overview of some of the subjects that you do in law. So the compulsory subjects, so you'll see right off the bat there, LA 1101, Legal Institutions and Processes. That's one of the subjects that we're offering in the JCU Now program, same as LA 1102, Legal Research, Writing and Analysis. So they're the first subjects that our law students will do, and we're making them available to you students. And then the other areas of law is what every other student in Australia will study. So areas such as contract law, evidence, the law of evidence, administrative law, equity, the law of trusts, constitutional, company, criminal law, and so on. So these are all the core areas of law that you'll study once you do the law course. And there's a whole bunch of different electives out there. You'll see you can do environmental law, Indigenous law, international law, which is also in the JCU Now program, taxation law, health law, family law, and so on. I've already mentioned this. So, you know, what industry partners? So, you know, what industry partners do we have that we sort of have strong links with? So there's a lot of community legal centres such as Legal Aid or Townsville Community Law, Cairns Community Law, Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander Women's Legal Services, and there's a lot within that community legal sector. And most of the private law firms around far North Queensland and North Queensland, they will offer work experience opportunities to our students, plus graduate opportunities to our graduates. Then of course you've got government departments and the various chambers of commerce and other business organisations. So there's a lot of industry links there that we have here in North Queensland. Career opportunities once you actually get your law degree. So most people will actually be admitted as a lawyer or a barrister. Some will go and work for the government. They'll work for law reform agencies. They'll go into business. They might go into banking, for example. And there's a lot of international opportunities available as well. Once you get your degree, you can so many doors will open for you. One of a recent appointment to the Supreme Court was Justice Lincoln Crowley. You may have actually seen Justice Crowley. He's a JCU alumni, and he's the first Supreme Court judge from JCU, and he's also the first Indigenous judge appointed, I think, in Australia actually. So it's quite an achievement, and he's from Charters Towers, so it's quite an achievement from one of our former students. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks, Jamie. Certainly some impressive alumni, or certainly an impressive alumni to end there. So thanks so much. We're going to, I guess, stay in the teaching or the academics that teach into the JCU now, but also teach into JCU's programs. And I'd like to introduce Dr. Denise Turner. So Denise is a lecturer in our sport and exercise science in the College of Healthcare Sciences here at JCU. Denise is passionate about health, especially nutrition, and exploring the physiological processes associated with growth, maintenance, and repair within the body. She loves learning about how to better health comes both in the individual and public health level. In her role here at JCU, Denise helps others develop knowledge and skills that can be applied to their chosen profession. So I'd like to introduce Denise.
Hi, thank you, Cameron. So yes, I'm a lecturer with sport and exercise science, and I'm based in Townsville. And tonight I will chat with you about the subjects that we offer through JCU Now, and also a little bit about what our course looks like here at JCU and some career outcomes as well. So we offer 2 core sport and exercise science subjects as part of the JCU Now program. So these are 2 subjects that our students actually have to do in their first year of the degree. So the first one we offer is SP1011, Physical Activity for Health. And the second one is SP1002, which is Nutrition for Health and Physical Activity. So in the first subject there, students explore the relationships between physical activity, sedentary behaviour and health right across the lifespan. So from infancy all the way through to old adults and everything in between. And we also explore the prevalence of chronic disease here in Australia and the impact of physical activity on health and development. So that particular subject includes on-campus lectures, but if you can't attend, they are always recorded. So even though the lectures are live here in Townsville, we always record them and we put them on Learn JCU so that you can view them later. We have weekly workshops that are on campus as well, so that you have the opportunity to put the knowledge that you've learnt that week and the new skills into practice then and there. The other subject, so SP1002, that one is about optimal nutrition for health and exercise performance across the lifespan again. So it's really about the dietary guidelines that we have here in Australia and learning about how the foods we eat and the beverages that we drink help to support growth and development, but also fuel us for exercise. So thinking about training and recovery and that sort of thing. We include a range of topics in that particular subject. So we talk about hydration, which is always really important here in Townsville and Cairns where it's really hot. We talk about things like carbohydrate loading and chronic disease and dietary analyses as well. So in that subject, there's an on-campus lecture. Again, it's recorded if you can't make it. And there is an on-campus workshop so that you can practice your skills. Sometimes in those workshops, there's food. So students get to eat food and then do some exercise. So they're usually pretty hands-on and a little bit of fun. The assessments for both of those subjects does vary. So there's usually quizzes and there's a variety of written tasks. So sometimes you might be asked to develop some sort of educational resource, like a brochure, for example, or you might be asked to create an e-poster, which is like a normal poster, but with digital elements. There might be group work, and there's exams for both of those subjects as well. So what does the degree, oh, I've missed one. What can successful completion of it lead to? Well, it helps you if you come and do the JCU sport, helps you if you come to do sport and exercise science here at JCU, because the 2 subjects that we offer are actually core subjects for the degree. So our degree is completed over 3 years. There is a part-time equivalent, of course, and we offer a dual degree with psychology. So that one's a 5-year course. So during the sport and exercise science degree, students gain a really comprehensive understanding of how the human body responds to a stress. And in this situation, the stress is the physical activity or the exercise. Students learn how to assess, design and deliver specialist exercise programs for a variety of people. So from community people to elite level athletes. Students have access to specialized facilities. So on campus in Townsville, we have the movement analysis lab, and that is a specialized laboratory that's equipped with the Vicon camera system, and it's also got force plates and pressure plates as well. So we're really fortunate to have that here on campus. And students also have access to the JCU Performance Science Hub. So that is a brand new facility that only opened this year, and it is co-located with the North Queensland Toyota Cowboys in the Hutchinson's Builders Centre here in Townsville. So our students benefit from practical work experience alongside industry professionals, and we start that from year 1 of the degree. So we have placement and work integrated learning opportunities straight from semester 1, year 1. The subjects are varied in our course. Of course, there's a really strong focus on the body. So anatomy and physiology subjects start early on, so semester 1, year 1. Students also study a little bit of psychology, because that's really important when we are talking about behaviour change and other aspects of wellbeing. There's some healthcare subjects as well, and health research subjects, so that students can see where they fit in the Australian healthcare system and how to design and evaluate health research. We have physics and biomechanics subjects, and those ones are completed in that movement analysis lab that I just mentioned. Biomechanics is, of course, really important for injury prevention, exercise technique, and improving performance and more. We have exercise testing subjects. They're, of course, really important as part of a sport and exercise science degree. So in those subjects, students learn how to conduct a variety of tests on different people and interpret those results. We have exercise physiology-based subjects. So in these subjects, students learn about the effects of physical activity on the body. So what's happening to the body when it's put under that physical activity form of stress. So for example, we might look at what is happening to the body when someone is exercising, when it's really hot and really humid. And here in Townsville, we actually have a climate control chamber in our sport and exercise lab on campus. So the climate control chamber is essentially a really big insulated room, and we can make it really cold. So we can put people in there, make it really cold and see what happens to them, or we can make it really hot and really humid. So it's a really great facility that we have access to, and students are able to use the climate control chamber in their on-campus workshops. We have exercise prescription subjects as well. That's obviously very important because students need to learn how to prescribe exercises for really specific needs. We have strength and conditioning subjects so that students can learn about the muscle physiology relevant for strength training and conditioning. Motor learning and motor control subjects. So in those particular subjects, students learn about things like neuromuscular considerations that influence changes to the acquisition of movement skills and other skills as well. We have sports training and rehabilitation subjects, and that's so that students can see the role of exercise scientists in injury prevention and rehabilitation as well. So some of our placements involve a little bit of some of our subjects involve a little bit of placement, maybe only 2 hours or so, but other subjects involve quite a bit. So for example, in 3rd year, one of our subjects involves at least 100 hours of placement in the community. So it's a great opportunity for students to get out there in the field and start working alongside people in the industry, exposing them to people that they might actually work with one day. So what type of career can a sport and exercise science degree lead to? Well, the course leads to diverse career outcomes. And I've listed just a few on the slide for you to have a think about. The main one is the one at the top, so an exercise scientist, so someone who might program exercises and be in charge of exercise delivery, for example. But careers might also, you might also look at something like a sports trainer or a strength and conditioning coach, maybe a talent identification officer. Students have found roles in occupational health and safety, so doing something like pre-employment screening or functional assessments, for example. There's always roles in health education and health promotion policies. There's roles in sport and recreation as well. So for example, program coordination. Graduates have found employment as health and wellbeing coaches. That's really important as well. And of course, there's roles in the physiological measurement realm. So looking at sleep, cardiac and respiratory technicians, for example. Other roles include things like lifestyle coordinators. And of course, a big thing with sport and exercise science is research, because it is a field that's rapidly changing. And that's one of the things that makes the degree so exciting. There's always something new happening. There's always new technology. There's always something new that we can explore. So research is a big area as well. And for students who are interested in doing further study, so maybe they want to do a bit of extra study and work with a different population of people, JCU also offers the Master of Clinical Exercise Physiology. So you can complete that after you've completed the undergraduate degree. And lastly, just to give you an idea of who we engage with, we are really fortunate to have relationships with industry in Townsville and elsewhere. So for example, students have the opportunity to complete work integrated learning or placement at the North Queensland Cowboys and at the Mendy Blackhawks as well. So we have internships available at these two particular sites. And as part of those internships, students spend a good part of the year embedded with the teams. So they're really gaining invaluable experience as part of those internships. Some of our other industry connections are listed here for your interest. The Solomon Islands there, that's a wonderful opportunity that enables our students to experience firsthand the application of sports science at the grassroots level, so from community, all the way through to the Olympic level, by working alongside various levels of athletes and coaches in the newly formed high performance sport facility. And we also offer the JCU Heroes in Sport program to high school students as well. So if that's something that you're interested in, the schools usually receive information and students can apply for that. And the Heroes in Sport program enables students to come on campus, and we take them to the the JCU Performance Science Hub that I just mentioned before, that's co-located where the Cowboys are located here in Townsville. So they get to go there and spend a day doing things like exercise tests. Then they get to come on campus and do other activities with us. They might do something like sit in a lecture. It's a really great opportunity to ask questions with people in the industry and see what it's like to study sport and exercise science here at JCU. That's it from me.
Perfect. Thanks, Denise. And I guess thanks, Jamie, as well. Certainly lots of information discussed, and I guess certainly looking at JCU now and looking at the students in years 11 and 12 as they commence in 2023, starting a subject in JCU now, I guess is sort of like that stepping stone between making that decision about going to university and sort of what your pathways can look for forward to. So I guess certainly something to consider. Now, before we do look at these key important dates, I just would like to, I guess, maybe address something really quickly. Whilst we've discussed sport and exercise science and law tonight, JCU now has a range of different subjects available for students to undertake, even if you're not necessarily interested in law or sport and exercise science. So I do recommend jumping online, jcu.edu.au/JCU now. You can read all of the subjects that we've got online or are available for 2023. So that way you can sort of start working out what subjects you'd like to do, potentially if you already know what degree you'd like, or you just want to test it out before you do. However, with that, there are some key important dates. I guess whilst you're looking at what subjects you'd like to do, it is worth taking some time to sort of process what dates you might need to sort of keep in mind to make sure you're speaking with your parents or caregivers and also the school to make sure that they support it as well. So we do here at JCU have semesters and trimesters. So trimester 1 for 2023, applications do close pretty early in January, so the 22nd of January. So something you might need to sort of engage with your school this year. For semester 1, 2023, those applications will close a little bit later, but the 29th of January. And then whilst applications do close in January, the semesters and trimesters actually commence in February. So they'll sort of start in alignment with the university teaching period. So trimester 1, the 13th of February, and semester 2, the 20th of February. So just some key important dates. It is worth to keep these, I guess, in your diaries for next year, so that way you're keeping on track of all those things. And I guess from there, it sort of also creates good study habits. So whilst this webinar is talking about JCU Now, we want to, I guess, continue that conversation. So for those of you in attendance tonight, or that will watch this at a later stage, that are completing year 11 this year in 2022 and do go on to complete a JCU Now subject in 2023, or for those that I guess maybe don't, but you still want to study at JCU, we want to help you make that transition as seamless as possible. So we've created and we've got our year 12 student success package, which enables students to access, in most parts, 3 different opportunities as you get towards the end of year 12 and transition into studying at JCU the following year. So the first one, which is a really big and exciting one, is our early offers. So this is for students that are in year 12 next year. They are able to apply for an early offer if their course permits, and we'll conditionally offer you a place to study at JCU the following year. So it allows you to finish year 12 with some confidence and take the stress out of what you're going to be doing the following year, or where do I need to apply for university and stuff like that. We'll be able to walk you through those steps with an early offer. Certainly one to consider, and they'll open earlier on in about May next year. Then our second package is our guaranteed admission. So this is going to be based on your ATAR, but you don't need to apply for this one. QTAC will do it automatically. But based on your ATAR, depending on how you go, if you receive an ATAR of 90 and above, we'll guarantee admit you into most of our programs, regardless of the subject prerequisites you've done. If you receive an ATAR of 73 and above, we'll guarantee admit you into the program as long as you've met those subject prerequisites. So it is important to, I guess, look at the subject prerequisites. Now, for those that maybe don't know what a subject prerequisite is, these are the subjects that the university ourselves require you to complete. So they might be English, math methods, or chemistry, or there might be a special entry requirement like a written-based application or something like that. So subject to you meeting those, we'll guarantee admit you into that program. And our final one is our adjustment factors. So you can receive additional ATAR points depending on the subjects that you've done, to the maximum of 10 bonus points. So again, we'll automatically apply this, or our QTAC will, the Queensland Tertiary Admission Centre. They'll apply those to your application to JCU. So you basically get free points for doing subjects at school. Now, not all subjects are available, and not all courses allow you the same amount of bonus points or adjustment factors, but certainly a great one to, I guess, have in your back pocket just in case. Or to explore more, check out our JCU Year 12 page on our website, so jcu.edu.au/Year 12. And finally, for those students that are entering into Year 12 next year, if you want to make the most, I guess, of the year that's about to commence, and you want to refresh all the learnings that you've learned this year, JCU has a summer or a holiday study program called JCU Star. Within this, we have 3 subjects that you can study: English, chemistry, and math methods. This allows you the opportunity to, I guess, refresh and refine your skills as you have come out of year 11 into year 12. So sort of starting in January with a sort of a recalibration as to where you're at and where you should be going for the year. And then we'll regroup in June, where you can, if you choose to, sort of make sure you're on track, make sure you sort of, the first half of year 12 is all good, And then as you go into September school holidays, it sort of turns into how to go through those exams, how to, I guess, read the questions effectively, so that way you're sort of capitalizing on the information that they're asking and getting the most out of your exams. So our STAR programs run the 3 times for all 3 subjects. Certainly a good way to, I guess, make sure you're on the right track. So these are taught by your teachers at JCU here in Cairns and Townsville, and some subjects being taught out of Mackay. So if you'd like to participate in one of these programs, or all 3 of them, again, on our website, jcu.edu.au/STAR program, and all the information is there. So we're going to go to questions now. So if you do have any questions for, I guess, Susan, Jamie, or Denise, now's a good time to put them in the Q&A chat box in the control panel, and we can ask those to the panelists directly. So I might ask, I might actually carry on from what Denise was saying just quickly whilst the questions, I guess, get formulated and come through. So Denise, towards the end, spoke about the Heroes in Sport program. Now, this is a program that's run for a couple of subjects. So we've got Heroes in Sport, Heroes in Science, Heroes in Business, and Heroes in Health. So certainly great opportunities for high school students to get connected with JCU, but also with the profession that they're looking at studying into. So as Denise said, the sports program is run in conjunction with the Cowboys. A lot of our programs are run in conjunction with industry partners. So it's sort of a great way for you to see behind the scenes of what a particular profession looks like, much like a JCU Now subject. So absolutely reach out to the schools or reach out to us, and we can certainly let you know when the next one is. I'm gonna, I guess, maybe I might go to you, Denise, first for this question. And the reason I'm going to throw to you is because I guess for the people at home might not know this, but a few years ago I studied a Bachelor of Laws here at JCU, and I know that a lot of the assessment is in most part an individual based assessment piece. So I'm gonna ask you, how do you find students that participate in the JCU Now program go working with, I guess, current JCU students with that assessment and stuff like that?
So we haven't had a JCU Now student yet, so I can't answer that.
There you go.
Sorry.
I guess, have you, I guess...
Sorry, I was just going to say, I would imagine they would do well. So for context, in the 2 subjects that we offer as part of the JCU Now program, they're also subjects that we encourage Diploma of Higher Ed students to do who want to come into our degree. So those students, they're doing a bunch of other subjects and they come to our subjects that are, all of our students, and they fit right in. Everyone sort of embraces everybody. We have the group work assessment in one of the subjects that we're offering because it is really important to learn how to work with other people. So I think a JCU Now student would do just as well as any other student, if not slightly better, because you're currently at school working with other people. You're better prepared for that. So I actually think that JCU Now students would do quite well.
Perfect. That's always good. I certainly know teamwork's not necessarily everyone's favourite thing. So I guess coming from that school environment, as you've said, sort of might be a benefit for them. So perfect, thank you. Now, my next question is going to go to Susan, and it's more of an explainer, Susan. Are you able to explain, both Denise and Jamie mentioned Learn JCU, but to, I guess, anyone that's not within the university, it sort of means maybe nothing. So could you just explain what Learn JCU is to the audience?
So Learn JCU is a platform that most, if not all, subjects use. And it basically is a platform where students can access everything that they need for the subject. So we encourage students to access that as soon as possible and look through the subject outline, which the lecturers put up quite early, so that you get an idea of what the expectations are, what assessment's going to be, when it's going to be, etc. Lecturers will put up the lectures that are recorded so that students can access them and watch them if they're not able to attend. They can also access their tutorials that way too. If you're online, you can use that. I know that law tends to use Blackboard, I think, but that's used for online students for tutorials in a lot of subjects as well. But yeah, it's basically the platform in which you are able to access anything that you need online. That's what Learn JCU is. And every student needs to make sure that they're accessing it. Lecturers also put up messages and announcements on there as well. So if anything, like there's a room change or anything like that, that's where they'll post it. So students really need to be accessing that all the time. And that's why it's one of the platforms I use when I'm doing my tracking. Because if a student is not accessing that, then I'm concerned, because they're not getting messages, they're not looking at lectures, they're not looking at notes that might have been posted, etc.
Yeah, perfect. So certainly a good platform to, I guess, get familiar with when you do enroll in a JCU Now subject. So perfect, thank you. And before I let you go, I might just ask you another quick question. So someone's asked, I do a mix of general and essential subjects. However, I'm not on track for an ATAR score. Am I still able to complete a JCU Now subject?
I would say yes, as long as you're meeting those criteria. However, when it comes to actually accessing, like getting entry in, it may not be a direct entry that we can get you, or you may not be able to do a early offer. It just depends on what you're studying at school. So vet subjects, etc., can count towards that and get you access. If not, we might have to find another pathway for you. But as it stands, yes, you would be able to access a JCU Now subject, depending on, again, if there's prerequisites to that subject that you need to meet. But generally, yes, that would be fine.
Perfect, wonderful. And I guess, thanks, Susan. And I guess to carry on from what Susan was sort of, I guess, alluding to where we will work with the individual applicants who may not necessarily be on an ATAR pathway, is we'll work with you to work out what your best pathway is moving forward. I guess I'm trying to think how I'm going to word this question. So my question is going to go to you, Jamie, and I am going to reflect on my experience nearly 10 years ago when I first enrolled at law school. And I remember reading, and I vividly remember the conversation I had with one of my friends, and I thought I was the bee's knees, where I'd be like, I'm doing legal institutions and processes, LA 1101. And it was just like spaghetti junction. There was lots of letters, lots of numbers and those sorts of things. What's a sort of a tip or trick for students to work out what those subjects actually mean?
Yeah, I think there's no real tricks in it. I think it's really just having a look at the material, looking at the subject outline, and looking at the weekly learning outcomes. Particularly with that subject, we work really hard to make it clear for students what they need to learn each week, and it's quite, you know, once you see it, I think it'll become quite apparent. So it's really just understanding what is the content and what it is that the lecturer is trying to convey, and you know, each week with those weekly learning outcomes, and I think that's probably a really good tip for understanding the content. The other thing too is really focusing on what assessment pieces that you have, and then do your own study around towards understanding what you need to do for that particular assessment. So for example, for that LA 1101 subject you mentioned, we actually have a quiz, a 10% quiz. It's online, and that will consist of the first 4 weeks of content. So it's probably a good idea for that quiz is to focus on the first 4 weeks of that content and not go on ahead and sort of look at the, so it's just little things like that. I think that once you get into the subject and you use the subject outline, subject outlines, I'm not sure if you have those in school. It's a really important document because that provides you a weekly overview. It's like a roadmap of the entire subject, and if you understand, you know, where it's at, where we want you to go towards the end, and where we want you to be, I think that's a really good way to understand and succeed. And as I said before, you know, if you are having any problems with content, which I don't think you would, it's fairly straightforward. But if you are having any problems, all you need to do is ask. And that would be a big tip.
Perfect. And I think that's really important to, I guess, a good message to leave with. If you need help, reach out, whether it be through the direct to the academics that are teaching your subject, or through to Susan. Certainly good people to reach out to. Now, just before I let you go, Jamie, I just had a subsequent question. However, it has slipped my memory. Oh, I know what it is. So for the students that are either in year 10 entering year 11 or in year 11 entering year 12 next year, just for your subjects, law, do you think them studying, if the school offers it, say legal studies, to be a beneficial thing, or not necessarily if they're not studying it?
Yeah, you know, that's a question that a lot of the that school students ask me. I would have to say it may help to some extent to do legal studies, but I think once you get into the subject itself, after a couple of weeks, I think you will give you all the material you need to succeed and do quite well in those subjects. So it helps a little bit, but you know, to some extent, I think even if you don't do legal studies, you'll certainly succeed. And some of our highest achieving students, they haven't done legal studies, but it really depends on the student as well. So, but yes and no. That's a real legalistic answer.
Yeah,
I know,
perfect.
But, yeah.
Now, I guess I'll reflect on my experience here. It was actually me doing legal studies in high school that actually decided for me to do law. And I remember my first lecture in contract law in my first year, first day, I reflected heavily on that, I guess, the question that I just asked. And I thought I was the king of the castle because I knew exactly what the lecturer was talking about. However, about 6 weeks later, I reevaluated that because everything that I'd learned through school had sort of ceased to help me there. So, but I guess it's good that it's not necessarily something that they should stress about too much if they're not doing it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So perfect. Thanks, Jamie. Now I've got 2 quick questions for yourself, Susan. At the very beginning, you said that students can, the first subject is free and subsequent subjects are heavily reduced to $375 a subject. Then you said, or in a roundabout way, you said if they don't complete the subject and unenroll or withdraw before census date, they don't have any fees or penalties. If a student was to unenroll before census date for, say, their first JCU Now subject, and then the following semester wanted to give JCU Now another go, are they able to still use that free subject?
That is a very, very good question. And I know that we incurred this already, and I want to say yes, they can. So if they let me know like a week or 2 weeks in or before census date that they can't do it, or something's happened and they're like, I don't feel like I'm going to be able to give it my all, and it's before census date, that is fine. And then if they decide later on, yes, I am in a place now where I can do it, and they reapply, they would still get the free subject. So as long as they withdraw before census date. I have had a student who withdrew after census date, so there was still no penalties because it was her free subject, but I did have to say to her, if you apply again, it will no longer be a free subject. You will have to pay the $375 plus your service and amenities fees.
Perfect, wonderful, thank you. And then my final question before we wrap up for tonight is, students can do JCU Now either on campus or online. For the students that are online, do they have the ability to come onto a campus if feasible to access, I guess, the academics and our facilities here?
Of course, they are JCU students, so they can come onto campus and access everything that any other JCU student accesses. It's just that they don't have to, like, their lectures and the tutorials, everything will be online for them, but they have the same accesses that any other JCU student has. Yes.
Perfect. That's really good to know. And for those that haven't been on the Cairns or Townsville campuses, I strongly recommend checking them out. They are spectacular campuses and we'd love to see you around. So perfect. Thank you so much to Susan, Jamie and Denise for, giving us your tips and tricks for a successful entry into the JCU Now program for year 11 and 12 students moving forward into 2023. And providing an overview as to, I guess, the degree, the profession, and the connection we've got at the university. Also, thanks goes to all you guys who attended and will listen to this later on. We really appreciate you coming out tonight, and thanks for asking some of those questions. So thank you, and from JCU, good night. Now, before you do leave, I would just like to ask if you would not mind completing a post-event survey that'll pop up into your browser as you leave. That would be great. And if you'd like to check out any other webinars that JCU has done, whether it be Careers and Health or our Pathway webinars, check out our Pathways page on our website. But from all of us here at JCU, good night. Thanks.